Hey, you made it. Come on and enjoy me, where I share stories about my reluctant and courageous journey into understanding my emotions. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. I'm super glad you're here. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button so that you can follow the adventure as it unfolds. And if you love this podcast, share it with your friends. This week's topic was about feeling useless and worthless. In the first video, I talked about a time where I felt worthless. In the next video, I talked about how I started to realize I wasn't useless. In the next video, I focused on a time when I knew I wasn't useless or I mattered. Then we meditated, and in this video that I lovingly call the Fridity or the Friday Ditty, I'm going to share with you a parable about this week's topic, feeling useless and worthless, along with explaining what happened inside of me. So, let's get to it. Once, in a bustling village, there lived a skilled weaver known for creating the most exquisite and intricate tapestries. People from all around the world would come to marvel at the beauty of her work. One day, a young traveler approached the weaver and asked, "How do you create such magnificent art?" The weaver smiled and led the traveler to her loom. As the weaver began to demonstrate her craft, she explained, "Each thread in the tapestry represents a moment in life. The bright threads embody joy. The dark threads symbolize challenges, and the intricate patterns showcase the complexity of our experiences." The traveler was enthralled as the tapestry took shape before their eyes. The weaver then pointed to a section of the tapestry where the colors were interwoven seamlessly. "This part represents the moments when I felt useless and worthless," she said. "At first, these threads seemed chaotic and tangled, but with patience and perseverance, they became an integral part of the overall design, adding depth and contrast to the beauty of the tapestry." As the traveler bid farewell and continued on their journey, they pondered the weaver's wisdom. Just like the threads in the tapestry, our moments of feeling useless and worthless can ultimately contribute to the richness of our lives, if only we have the courage to embrace them. When feeling useless and worthless, at least for me, everything is hard. Getting out of bed is hard. Taking a shower is hard. Getting ready for the day is hard. I know that for me, there was a time in my life where I had to challenge myself to get out of bed and get dressed and just be ready for the day. I think it's especially hard because there's already this sense of I can't accomplish anything, or I'm not capable of accomplishing anything, because I'm already in the mindset of thinking I'm useless and I'm worthless. Now, the other thing that I do even though I know comparison is the thief of joy, I am more likely to compare myself to other people, because when I'm in that useless and worthless stage, I'm also more apt to show up on and look at social media where I see everyone else's great pictures, and I forget that that's only a glimpse of one moment in their life. And so the assumptions that I start making for myself in my own mind are they get me deeper into that sense of I'm useless and I'm worthless, because I keep making assumptions that say, it's almost like, because I've decided I'm useless and worthless, what I look for out in the world also says that I'm useless and worthless, and that's what I validate. So my thoughts when I'm in that worthless place are, why bother calling? They don't want to talk to me. I can't do anything anyway, so why talk to anyone? I don't have value, so why bother? I might sit there going, they've got it all. They have it, and they have it, and they have it. Or I'll look around and I'll be thinking, wow, she's dressed perfectly. Every weekend she looks perfect. Or, wow, he's got it all together. He's got a nice car. And I'll be comparing that to me, and I'll be thinking that no matter what I'm doing or where I'm going, I'm useless or and worthless. And so I think it's really easy to get stuck in those mindsets. Is anything on earth worthless? I put this question on my screen earlier. Is anything on earth worthless, or could there be value in everything? And if I think about that on a super deep level, every living thing on this earth, everything on this earth is here and serves a purpose. I don't think there's any one thing that's worthless. Now, maybe I could be like, well, the plastic bags are worthless, but weren't they valuable before? And they can still carry things. I just might not like what they do to the environment now. So I think it's also depends on perception. So what's the story I tell myself about what it means to matter? I think sometimes I tell myself that in order to matter, other people need to call me or connect with me or check in with me, and they need to do things instead of me doing things. And while I know that's not true, that I matter because I exist. I matter because I'm here. I matter to the people that I make a difference in their lives. I have my mom, my family, my children. When I say family, I mean my siblings. And I have my friends. And if I weren't here, then they would not get to have, I don't know, my quirky, awkward self in their lives. So if you look at evolution, if you had no value, you could get expelled from the group. So, if we're thinking about caveman times, like that useless and worthless, that's a scary place to be. So finding where we matter is almost necessary for us to feel like we have value in the group. It's almost like, for me, what I'll do kind of is jump up and down and be like, see, I have value. This is what I do. And sometimes then people will be like, dude, you're funny. But I still try to share that value. Mattering means that we're important to other people. You're important. You bring value simply by existing in the little tiny interactions where you smile at someone, or you share your vulnerabilities and your tears, or your frustration over something that is wrong to you. Those are important things to share. And sometimes I think it's really easy, at least for me, if that wasn't accepted the way I think it should, or someone else doesn't see my point, somehow that turns into me not mattering. But what if that's the moment that gets somebody to start thinking of a different way of being or something new? I think that that's really important. So, another thing I wanted to talk about is, what happens when things change and you can't provide the same value that you provided before, which is actually what happened to me when my disability came on. So I could no longer, bring in the same amount of income. I couldn't clean the house. I couldn't cook. That was really hard, because as I lost that capacity, I came to this conclusion that I didn't matter, when in fact I did. And I think it was also just the story I told myself that, if someone couldn't do something, then they weren't valuable. And that was a story I had for myself, something I grew up with, a story that I made in my own mind, which wasn't true. And I had to go through my own personal struggle with the disability to figure out that I might not be able to provide that value the way I did before, but I matter because I provide the value the way I do now. So it took a long time for me to get to that point. I mean, probably at least 10 years. I want to say it was after the 10-year mark that things really started shifting for me as far as like my mindset and challenge. I had started challenging thoughts and ideas before that, but I feel like something around the 10-year mark made a big difference. So I want you to know it's normal to question your value as things change. So one thing I would do to remind myself that I don't know, what's one thing you do to remind yourself that you matter? I really try to simplify it, and like to the very, like, I don't know how to word this, but like to look around at the environment, to remind myself that nothing is here on earth, nothing is in the universe without a value. And that is one of the hardest things to do, especially when I'm in the midst of thinking I'm useless and worthless. So it's like I have to slowly start looking for things like how I matter and what I do, because sometimes I don't know about you, but I get to that place where I think, I'm taking up space and I don't belong here anymore. And I know it's not true, but maybe for me, that's part of what I do. I go, is that true? And how do I know it's true? So, in closing, in the depths of worthlessness, I found my rage, but from that fire, I journeyed to a brand new stage. A podcast was born, a voice, a place to share my story of struggle, finding courage to dare. From feeling useless and worthless, I arose to discover within me a strength that flows. So listen to my story, bold and true, and find within it a message meant for you. Like, share, and comment below to let me know what topics you'd like me to explore next. Remember to subscribe to me Making Sense of Myself for weekly doses of information and self-discovery. If you have a question, send it over. I'll answer it. Let's do this together. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.